All right. I usually do these tea testings before I eat, and I did eat a little something this morning. I'm trying to clear my palate. But anyway, Spring ARIZE, Darjeeling Black First Flush. I'm excited. Been thinking about it uh, all night and all morning. I don't know if what I'm going to get is going to be more of a spinach flavor or more of a spicy chai thing going on. The dry leaf smells sweet. It's really sweet. Just a little bit of spiciness. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly what I'm going to get out of this, which is why I'm really excited to try it. What am I doing here? Okay. The leaf is really looks like really tiny leaves. Really pretty bouquet. Sort of light green, dark plum-like colors. Really pretty. I think I kind of understand what they were going for when they said Spring ARIZE, because it does kind of give you that spring vibe, you know what I mean, with the bright greens. But obviously it's been fermented just a bit, which is why it is a Darjeeling black and not a white tea. The cold brew, very, very light. That may have something to do with the amount of material, honestly. I used to do, I think it was what, like 12 ounces or 16 ounces of water with a tablespoon. And since I'm using these larger bottles, I've still been using the same amount of material, but obviously more water. And I honestly don't even know how much water this is. I know it's more than 16 ounces though. So I'm sure that's going to play a part in what I get out of the leaf. But this is not far off from what I've seen in the past. I've definitely seen darker brews for sure. But I still think I'll be able to get something out of here. Most of the leaves have unfurled and showed themselves. They are definitely really small leaves, not big at all. I'm trying to see if there's any buds in there. I don't see any buds. What I do see though, like I said, are just small leaves. All right, see what we get out of this thing. I expect this cold brew to be fairly clean. There were some cut up leaves in here, but not many. And like I said, because there's not a lot of material in here, I really don't mind the cut up leaves. I think it'll give me a bit more flavor. Anyway, all right, here we go. Like I said, very light brew, reminiscent of what I would see out of a white tea, not necessarily a Darjeeling black, but I've definitely seen Darjeeling blacks this light before, so this is not out of the realm of possibility. There is some plant material in here, not a whole lot, but definitely some. Oh man. Mm. Oh, it's been 2 months. It's been 2 months, 2 months plus since I've had a Darjeeling, and this is everything I love about Darjeelings. Mm, champagne of teas. So it definitely has that fruity sweetness. Um, There isn't much spiciness at all. Yeah, not much spiciness at all. There is a tiny bit of kind of like an herbal type flavor towards the end. No bitterness. Even when I force the liquor to the bitter spots on my tongue, there isn't any bitterness at all. Um, and the smell that you get off of the liquor right before you take a sip is it's just pleasant. I mean, it's so cool. And I don't, unfortunately, I don't have a descriptor for the taste. It is definitely Darjeeling, though. I mean, no question about it. A lot of Darjeelings, the darker, deeper ones, I typically describe as kind of raisin or grape, maybe, or plum or something like that. This one, I don't prescribe those words to this flavor. But it is very sweet. Definitely some type of fruit. I just don't know what it is. It's very like up there. Like it's not a deep dark fruit juice. It's like a lighter, maybe. So I want to say white grape, but no, not at all. It's not white grape at all. It's something different. I just don't have it within my taste memory to really say what it is. But there's no question. Definitely sweet, 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 sweet. Not a like I said, the spiciness that I get from the dry leaf is definitely there in the cold brew, but it's very muted and it's more of an aftertaste. All right, I'm actually gonna get a little bit more of this while I wait for the water to boil. Now I've said this before, but I'm going to always go with super super hot water to start it off with, even though I know that Darjeelings typically don't take well to really hot water. I'm going to do it anyway and then play around with water temperature as I go from there. But yeah, this is really good though. I mean, it's really, really, really good. It's really good. And I'm going to try not to drink up all of this because I want to take it out with me today to see how it responds to being carried around in the heat. Mm. The name on this tea, Spring ARIZE, describes it perfectly. It is everything that you expect from not only a first flush Darjeeling, but it has that fruity, you know, flavor that you get from the Darjeeling blacks. I mean, it's. I have to go back and look at the other videos and stuff like that. But as of right now, man, this one is a favorite for sure. Mm. Man, it's so good. And then I'm also getting what I like in all of these Darjeelings, whether it's the white or the black, is that kind of chalky mineral type thing that lets you know you're drinking tea. You know what I mean? And I think that chalky thing is the caffeine, or it's at least the the things in the leaf that make it caffeinated, if that makes sense. Like the minerals and the things in the leaf that make it caffeinated, that lets you know that what you're tasting is a caffeinated plant. I like that. I really do. All right. So I'm going to do a quick rinse of the dry leaf just to kind of wake the tea leaves up a bit. Don't want to do it too long or too much. And that was definitely longer than what I will have preferred. But not too bad. Nothing in life can be perfect. And right away, without even putting my nose to this thing, I'm getting that vegetal spinach flavor. Look at the leaves. I mean, they have turned a spinach green. Look at that. That is just bananas. Like, it went from this bouquet of like bright green to like dark plum type colors to just like a vivid green. Like, that's crazy. It lost all of its dark colors immediately. Oh, well, it ain't just spinach. Oh man, so it's definitely spinach, but there's something else in here though. There's some kind of sweetness. It's as if, and I'm not gonna say it's a fruit sweetness. It's as if it's some cousin of the spinach plant that is sweet. Yeah, the muscat wine. Yeah, those are those reddish grapes in India that a lot of the Darjeeling blacks are reminiscent of as far as flavor. This one though is not muscat though. It's not. It's super sweet. It's some kind of fruit. It's maybe in the realm of like a white grape or something like that, but it's much brighter than that, and not as deep or dark as a grape or a raisin. You know what I mean? But yeah, the wet leaf though, I'm sitting there smelling it because it's so astounding. You don't expect this at all. Like I said, it does smell a bit like spinach, but there's a lot of sweetness in there. And I just can't put my nose and my finger on what that fruit sweetness is. Like I said, it's like it's a weird sweet spinach or something. But it's really good. So I'm really interested to taste this and get this water hot again. I'm gonna get just a little bit more of this cold brew while I'm waiting. I think I'm starting to feel a little bit of the caffeine too. That's always a good thing. Man. Yeah, I really like this. I really do. Spring Royale has been my choice over the last, I think maybe 3, almost 4 years now, of the Darjeeling Blacks. This is my first time really doing a real taste test of all the Darjeeling Blacks from Golden Tips Tea. And like I said, as of right now, I think Spring ARIZE is a winner. All right, here we go. Just enough water to cover the leaves. And I'm going to agitate it just a little bit. Don't want to steep it for too long. But I do want to make sure that I get everything out of these leaves that I need to get. And like I said, I'll play around with steeping times and temperature in the later infusions. All right, so let's go back to these leaves. They are wide open and again, very, very green. Yeah, all of the heat really gives off that spinach flavor, and I think as the heat dissipates, I think it's when it gets sweeter. All right, first infusion, a lot darker than what I expected based on the cold brew, but again, it's very similar to what you would expect from a Darjeeling black. Lots of, I'll say, activity. I know for sure what I'm looking at is, of course, from the plant, but you don't see any plant material per se, just a lot of stuff, you know what I mean, in the brew. And the reason why that is important is because the more of the leaf that you ingest, the more not only caffeine that you're going to get, but also I think the more pungent the flavor is going to be. Sometimes you want to basically eat the tea leaves, but there's something to be said for a tea that is only the liquor and there's no plant material at all. You know, it makes a difference. And so that's why I'm always looking at that, just to kind of give me an idea of what I'm getting into. Like I said, there's not a lot of actual leaves that you can see, but there's a lot of stuff, you know what I mean, in here. So it's not a very clear liquor. It's very cloudy, right? Oh, wow. Okay. So, again, Darjeelings don't like a lot of hot water. I'm definitely getting that from the first infusion. Slight bitterness, back of the tongue, which for me, I don't necessarily appreciate. And it's overpowering the flavor of the leaf, that bitterness. And I know that has a lot to do with not only the water temperature, but also the steeping time as well. It is somewhat vegetal, but again, that bitterness just completely wipes out any sort of flavor you can hope to get out of this. Not not necessarily what I want out of a tea, just very like one dimensional, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna let this water cool just a little bit, and then I'm going to use cooler water temperature, and I'm gonna do a very fast infusion, just to see if I can get any sort of flavor out of this other than just, you know, like I said, the bitterness from the tea. Yeah, there's a lot of sweetness in there. And the idea is to try to pull out what I'm smelling and get it into the liquor. And, you know, like I say, you just have to play around with temperature and steeping times to make that happen. So I think the water's cooled just a bit, not a lot. Let's see if we can just do this very quickly. let's see what differences it makes. So right away, and I want to keep sticking my nose in it, and this is a good sign for me. You know, there are some teas that I will just smell and smell and smell and smell. See, I broke my glass. Got to buy another one. And I really enjoyed that. It's part of the experience. And this one definitely smells really good. All right, so again, lots of activity, kind of cloudy, but I think a much brighter infusion, maybe, just because of the steeping time. Just not a lot there. Again, just very one-dimensional. You know, whenever I have my mom taste my teas, you know, the question is always whether or not she can, you know, get any sort of flavor, anything out of it. And a lot of times she'll say, it just tastes like tea, right? And I definitely feel that with this particular tea, where it's just like, that's just all it is. Like there's nothing more to it. And I'm certain that it has everything to do with water temperature. Just like when you first hit the tea with the hot water, the first thing you get is that very vegetal spinach flavor, and then as the heat dissipates, it turns sweet. And so the cold brew, because the leaves have been sitting for a much longer time, and the tannins and all the stuff that the leaf has within it, and the sugars and whatnot, have a longer time to release their flavors. That's obviously why you're getting such a sweet flavor from the cold brew. But then when you get to the hot brew, that hot water is releasing just, I don't know what to call it, but it's releasing just this vegetal, very caffeinated, you know, thing going on, the mineral, you know, and nothing else. And so I think that this may be a tea that requires almost room temperature water. Now, like I said, the water that I haven't reheated it, it's still fairly hot, so I definitely want to let it cool more, to see what else I can get. The other thing is that because the steeping time was so fast on this one, it didn't steep long enough to give it any sort of richness either, because it tastes sort of watery. So you got, on top of the fact that there's not much flavor, it's also kind of watery. So it's not my favorite on the hot side. I will say, though, that, like I say, for the past 3 or 4 years, I've been drinking Spring Royale from Golden Tips Tea, and I do typically cold brew that tea. I don't ever hot brew it. But the purpose of me doing these experiments is to find something that is like perfect, right? Like, it's the perfect cold brew. It's the perfect hot brew for me, right? And so who knows? When I get to the end of all these, I may come to realize that I just don't like Darjeeling Black's hot brew. I just don't, you know. Maybe I'll just always cold brew these things. But I do want to allow the water to cool much more. And I'm going to try steeping this for much longer. to see if I can pull any of that sweetness that I'm getting from the cold brew and from the smell into the liquor. And if I do, I'll definitely do another video to report my findings, because I really do think that this is a very, like I said, pretty tea. As far as the eye goes, I love to smell it. And the cold brew is amazing. And so I want to just try to, see if I can figure out the hot brew before I just throw this thing away and decide that I don't ever want to try it again, right? Anyway, from me to you, I holla.